Godlight managed to stop play on day one of this third and final test between England and the West Indies, George Dobell, and it was such a freaking shame because, goodness me, what a lovely batting partnership there from Ollie and Jos Buttler as well. Ollie going just so freely and flowing. So surely that's a very good job done there from England.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you? They turned the day on its head, really, and completely took control in that last session. I don't know whether there was a bit of weariness from the West Indies bowlers, quite a lot of weariness, I think. But, Ollie Pope in particular, at the early stages of that partnership, looked beautiful. After getting himself in, he had to get to about 30-ish, had a few nervous moments before then. But then he batted probably the most fluent innings we've seen in the series, I would think. And we know it was an important innings for Jos Buttler as well. We know he's been short of runs, hasn't made 100 since the Oval last year. Sorry, a 50. Hasn't made 100 since the dawn of time. And he played really, really well. I thought he was increasingly assured, solid as well, happy to let Pope lead the way. But I thought it was a good innings, and England really needed it because they've got a long tail. Chris Woakes in at 7, Don Bess at 8. So the game was on a bit of a knife edge when Pope and Buttler came together.
That's true indeed. 258 for 4 is exactly as it stands at the close of play on this day one. And again, I feel like I do get nervous for the West Indies the more these numbers go up, because I know it's only 254 there, still 4 wickets down. So you're going to expect a couple more runs to come after this, George. And the question is, how much of a daunting task is it starting to look for the West Indies, given the fact that, again, we keep saying that their batting has been the weakest point?
Yeah, West Indies don't score 400 very often, so once the score goes above 300, it starts to look tricky, particularly as they again inserted. It's a brave decision to insert. I don't think a side has ever won a test here having done that. So it's a brave thing to do, and if you're going to do it, you want to take advantage on the first morning, or certainly on the first day. Look, for a while it looked as if they might, and there were a couple of moments which could have gone the other way. Pope squirted one through the gap between sort of gully and slip area. He flashed at another one and missed it. Maybe if those moments had gone the other way, we'd be looking at Jason Holder's decision now and thinking fair enough. As it is, it doesn't look great, does it? Particularly as there are 2 spinners in West Indies' side who aren't going to bowl in the 4th innings, you would think. And I think England have really taken control. All I would say from a West Indies perspective is the forecast is really, really grim for rain for both tomorrow and Monday. I mean, really, it looks uncompromisingly grim. And if West Indies draw this match, they do retain the trophy. So it's not over for them by any means, but they did look a very, very tired unit by the end of today.
And then, of course, in terms of the West Indies bowling, just overall, now that we have seen Rakeem Cornwall for an entire day and on a brilliant catch that, they kept showing on replay that we did love to see. What were just your thoughts overall on the bowling?
I think the West Indies bowling all series has been admirable. But I did think that the miles started to show, particularly this afternoon. Look, we've seen the England attack have freshened it up. They've played a different attack basically every game. And in this game, they've come in heavily armed with all sorts of options. Shannon Gabriel and Kemhi Roach seem to be bowling almost every time you look up. I think they've bowled at times completely beautifully. But it's starting to show, and they are not backed at all well by the fielding. I mean, some of the fielding has just not been up to this standard. So I cut them a lot of slack in that they look like very, very tired men who are absolutely doing their best, and you can't really ask a lot more. In terms of Rakeem, he bowled some really good balls, but there probably were too many release balls. Again, you've got to cut in some slack and say that he hasn't played for quite a while. It's quite a big ask to come into a test match in England, having not played a warm-up game really apart from the inter-squad stuff. So it's not really surprising he looked a bit rusty. And as the England players settled, they started to sort of feast on him a little bit. Jos Buttler hit him for 2 sixes over mid-wicket in an over. He's a fascinating cricketer. I mean, there aren't very many cricketers like that in the modern game. Obviously, Leverock, I guess, would be one. But you're going back a long, long time since you saw sportsmen look like that. I don't know how much it holds him back. I mean, he bowls an awful lot of overs in the Caribbean, and his record's terrific. So it would be probably lazy to jump to a conclusion and say he gets tired later in the day and all the rest of it. because, his record suggests that's not the case. But, yeah, it was slightly disappointing in that, as I say, at his best, he bowls better balls than probably all the other spinners in the series. But it's not just about the good balls, is it? You've got to keep the pressure on the batsman by just bowling tight. West Indies did that brilliantly, I thought, in the first probably half of the day, certainly in the morning. And I think as they tired, they let England get away, but that makes it sound like it was their errors. And I think you've got to give a lot of credit to Pope in particular and Buttler, who increasingly took the game away, having weathered the storm.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.